Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Good morning, it's 7:30 on Saturday the 8th of January. Just making my way down to the land, and as always, not quite sure what we're going to get done today, but let's find out. Well, here we are down on the land. It's a very wet and grey and chilly morning, it has to be said. Been wet and chilly for a while now, several weeks in fact. I was down on Thursday, and all the water, even though it was in the afternoon, all of the water was frozen and had not thawed during the day. It's not as cold this morning. It is very, very wet underfoot though, and it's still a little bit dark really to do much videoing outside. So as usual, I'll get myself into the cabin, get opened up. I think we'll definitely have a fire on, and I'll catch up with you shortly. Well, that's the most important job done, is getting the fire on. So now that that's on, we'll go and sort the chickens out. Well, it's that time of the morning, sorting the chickens out. And as usual, we've actually got two today, red ones. But the usual one knows to just hang around, and she'll she'll get the pick of the bunch when it comes to the corn and the seed. I've got some greenery, of course, because it's the weekend. Calm down, girl. God, you'd think they'd never been fed, really. Right, let me get the feeders topped up and get inside the cabin for a chat. Well, good morning. It's the weekend again. It seems to have been a long time coming this weekend. I don't know why. I think perhaps that's due to the really rubbish weather we've been having this last week. Thankfully though, I've got the fire on, so that's good. It's putting the temperatures a little bit more bearable here in the cabin, though you can probably tell by the steam off the coffee and the steam off my breath, it's still a bit cool. Chickens are content. They've got their mixed seed. I will pop out. I've got a bit of greenery as usual because it is the weekend, so I'll be popping across with a bit of greenery shortly, just to keep them happy and to say thank you for the eggs they keep producing. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you are staying safe and well, and it is the new year. I know I took the time last weekend to say hi and Happy New Year, but this is it. It's our first week into the new year, and I don't know if you'll hear that or not. It's raining again. We've had loads this week, quite a bit of standing water on the roads as I came in this morning. It tried to snow twice this week. Didn't actually last long here, but the ice did. We've had quite sharp drops in temperature overnight this week. I think I mentioned it on the way in this morning. Apologies if my voice goes from time to time, by the way. I've got some kind of cold, flu, COVID, Ebola, whatever. So I will need this coffee as I go through the chat this morning. But yeah, I came down Thursday and the water in the watering cans, I'm just listening to that roaring. The wind's obviously picked up and I can hear it pulling now. It wasn't drawing very well earlier. Anyway, I digress again. Yeah, ice. It was the water barrels. The actual outlet hoses were frozen up on Thursday, so yeah, quite cold this week. Um, Lots going on in the big wide world as we launch ourselves into 2022. Plenty of stuff that I touched on in recent videos. Couple of little notes here. I didn't plan on talking too much about current events this week because I have something else far more exciting to talk about. But I did say COVID would rumble on for a while, and we've got all these different variants, and now there's a new one just to keep us on that edge of fear and panic. We've now got Flurona, which is, and they say it's a combination of flu and corona, all in one package. But they're going crazy with this now. There's mass testing has gone through the roof, and of course, when you start combining flu, because it's winter time, with corona, everybody's got it. So now everybody's self-isolating. So you've got literally millions. There's over 1 million off work as we speak here in the UK. And that's going to have a massive impact on production of anything, food, bare essentials, non-essentials, anything that we're manufacturing. The staff numbers in the factories have just plummeted. So major problems are coming our way with production and supply chain again, just when we didn't need it. And it's not because people are necessarily been hospitalised or dying from this. They're just testing positive and not going to work. So chaos will definitely come shortly. Economy, financial markets, don't know if you noticed, they took a deep dive. Crypto, I think Bitcoin dropped by, it was something like 67,000 per coin in late October, start of November. It's down to 20. It's down to 40. So it's dropped 20 grand per coin in the space of a month. Markets dipping between 1% and 3% this week. Inflation, Germany came out, said that their inflation's peaked highest in, I think they said 19 years. So lots of the normal stuff going on, and that will rumble through this year for sure. The Russia and China fear-mongering took a new turn as it all kicked off in Kazakhstan. So of course the media went into overdrive about Russian oppression because the Kazakh government asked them for help in policing these riots and protests. So that of course brought us back to Russia and China. I noticed an article in the newspapers yesterday, big headlines: Russian submarine crashes into UK warship in the North Atlantic. I thought, wow, I've not heard about that. What's all that about? So I started reading through the article. Turns out that a British warship was up at the Arctic Circle, so not the North Atlantic per se. You'd think by the title it was in the middle of the ocean. It wasn't, it was up in the Arctic Circle. And he was actually following this Russian submarine, which was on the surface. The Russian submarine went below the surface, so the UK warship threw out its underwater sonar array, which is like a, I don't know how to describe it, a little drone underwater on a cable that they throw out and tow a few, well, in cases, hundreds of metres behind the ship, and they just go up and down, dragging this thing along, listening for noise under the ocean. And it turns out that during this dragging, that had actually hit the Russian submarine rather than the other way around. Sorry, I just saw a puff of smoke there. And it turns out that it wasn't a collision of the ship and the sub. It was that this dragging of this underwater sonar had made contact with the sub, which I guess it would if you're deliberately trying to drag it near the submarine. No damage caused, not intentional, but the headline, if you'd just gone off the headline, you would think that there was some kind of Russia-UK naval warfare going on, which there wasn't. So the media is deliberately hyping up all of these potential war tensions. And they're using Kazakhstan now as an excuse as well. I actually lived out in Central Asia for a number of years, and I used to, as part of my work, visit Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all of those stands in and around that area, which used to be Russian states back in the days of the Soviet Union. And this kind of civil protest, rioting, overthrows of governments is nothing unusual in that part of the world. When the Russians moved out, back in the days when the communist empire collapsed, when they moved out, exactly the same people that were there running the country just stepped up and became presidents, and took over the country and ran it pretty much as their own. I'm getting some backdraft here off this fire. Let me close that before I get smoked out. Yeah, they took over where the Soviets left off and ran the country as their own little empire, and in some of them still do. And when I was there, the country neighbouring Kazakhstan, which is Kyrgyzstan, they had 2 overthrows of the government in 3 years. You know, fighting on the streets, people getting shot. Full on civil disturbance, full on. So that's nothing new in those areas. And I guess if you're subsidising fuel to the degree that you are to keep the people happy, and suddenly you find that your country is going bankrupt because it can't continue, what are you going to do? You're going to have economic reality kick in and start charging the going rate for your fuel. And if you've not been used to that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, because it's always been given to you at half price, whatever it happens to be, it is going to be a shock and you are going to kick off. So governments this side of the planet should pay a little bit more attention to that and not focus on, oh, it's terrible, it's oppression, blah, 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 which is what they are doing, and focus on that's what happens if we don't get our current energy crisis here in the West under control, because we've seen 40%, 50% hikes in energy, whether that's fuel for vehicles or gas and electric prices for your home. So watch for the hype. The hype is pushing it into the opposite direction to where it should be. Instead of saying, we've got a similar issue, we need to sort that out, before we have those kind of protests here, they're focusing on the, oh, this is terrible, human rights, being oppressed. Completely opposite of where they should be looking. So don't buy into the propaganda, I guess, is what I'm saying. Anyway, away from all of that, which is potentially a bit gloomy news, good news. Good news for me. I'm running out of coffee. My fire's going out. Give me 1 second. I'll cut the video, make a fresh coffee, and sort the fire out and my voice out, and then I'll come back to you with the real good news. Well, here we go. It's greenery time. And as usual, we've got one hanging around. Wants all the best bits, all to herself. Oh look, the other red one's coming. Get away from my finger. Why do you always want to be going where my finger is? Eh? I've just taken the opportunity to do this in between little video clips because the heavens opened. It started absolutely chucking it down. The fire started backing up and kicking out smoke into the cabin. So I thought I'd take the chance to sort the chickens out with the greenery and sort the fire out as well. She doesn't know what to make of me when I talk. Why? It doesn't matter how I turn this around, she just wants the bit that's by my finger. Do you want some as well? She's very nervous, that other one. Very nervous. She's definitely henpecked. Definitely. That was a finger, you. I don't know what the attraction is. Right, enough of this nonsense. Let your friend have some. And you have some. There you go. Right, let's get back in the cabin. You can see the chimney there. The smoke doesn't quite know which way to go. It keeps changing. Sorry about that. I needed to quickly sort out this fire. The winds died down and the smoke was starting to back up and come into the cabin, so I needed to sort that out. Also took the opportunity to give the chickens their greenery. They're very happy now. The rain has started back up again. It had stopped for a few minutes, thankfully, while I was doing that. So the chickens were able to eat the greenery without getting soaking wet. And I had a chance to make another cup of coffee. So all is well. In fact, all is more than well. All is very happy right now. And this is the main thing I wanted to talk about today, actually. I got sidetracked earlier talking about rubbish. And I wanted to give some good news today. You might remember, back in, I think it was the 31st of July, very end of July, start of August, I put a video out entitled "What is Wrong with Some People?" And essentially that was commented on a complaint that had been made by somebody in the local area who had objected to my use of the land. Their real motive for doing that, to this day, I don't know, and I doubt I'll ever find out what the real motive was. But it was a malicious complaint. It was designed to sow seeds of doubt in the mind of the council and the planning department, with the objective, I think, of getting me off the land. Hard not to take this kind of thing personally. But the nature of the complaint was very, very malicious and completely untrue. The things that they said, we'll scroll back and look at the video, but essentially they said that I was ruining the land. It looked like a construction site. There were loads of buildings littered around the entire field. There was some unusual, dubious activity going on in one of the buildings because they could hear screaming or squealing coming from one of the buildings. It was a really nasty complaint, and to this day I've resisted the temptation of verbalising my opinion of the person that did it. However, that generated some action from the local council. Guy came out from the planning office, had a thorough look at everything that was going on the field, looked at the polytunnel, the cabin, chicken coop buildings, agreed in writing that the use of the land was agricultural, the use of the buildings was for agricultural purposes. However, he did say that because, although the buildings weren't attached to a permanent foundation, they could still potentially be considered as being permanent structures, and with that in mind, I would need to apply for planning permission. Now that was a really big worry for me. I've seen lots of examples where people have spent a lot of time, effort and money in doing something only to have planning permission refused, and they've had to completely destroy it. So I was really fearful that might happen to me, and all of this work I've put in over the last few years would be for nothing, and I would have to remove everything. So, long story short, I had to do detailed drawings, measured drawings of everything, the land and the structures, which took forever. It took days and days and days to do. I submitted the application in November, and I've been sat around waiting ever since. There is a temptation to go into a bit more detail about the planning process, but I won't. Suffice to say that after what seems to be an agonisingly long time, I received an email yesterday from the planning office, and the planning application has been approved. So everything stays as it is. Everything as it is now has been given the seal of approval by the local council and the planning department, and it's going to stay forever. So yeah, it's been a really nerve-wracking several months, lots of sleepless nights, lots of anxiety and worry and stress, but it's done now. The decision has been made that it is exactly as I described it, and they have no objection and have approved planning permission. Full permanent planning permission has been granted. So anybody who's passing by now that wants to have a complaint to the council, they can, but nothing will come of it because I have full planning permission. So I'm really, really pleased. I was extremely worried that everything was going to have to go. Not quite sure what I would have done then, but it doesn't. So real good news. If nothing else at all happens this year, I'll still be a very, very happy chap, and it will have been an extremely good year, irrespective of what else might happen now, because I was concerned I was going to lose all of this, and now I'm not. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year. I'm looking forward to getting started with planting again. I will be looking to see what I can get away with in terms of early planting. How quickly can I start planting potatoes, sweet potatoes this year for sure, and other vegetables. I'm looking forward to expanding on the chickens and expanding on the bees this year. So whereas a few weeks ago it was looking potentially disastrous for 2022, now it's not. It's looking extremely positive for 2022, and I hope it is for you guys out there. I'm going to finish this coffee and get back in the car out of the rain. There was lots I was going to do today. I was going to get the tractor out just to give it a warm up. I'm not going to bring it out in this. It's shockingly bad out there now. Extremely cold and wet, and I just don't see the point. We'll see how we are tomorrow. If the weather's better, I'll try and do those few jobs tomorrow rather than today. So yeah, good news, positive news for 2022. I wish all of you good news and positive news for you and your family and life in 2022, and I look forward to continuing this little self-sufficiency journey with you as we go through 2022. What do you think of the news? Let me know in the comment section, but I'll catch up with you another time.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. What about the good news? I can't tell you how pleased I was to receive it, and hopefully you all get some good news in 2022. Let me know what you're up to in the comments section below, but for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.